Hello, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Um, it was fun to get back out on the field today, and the guys had what I felt like was a high energy practice and a great practice considering you've got two new defensive coaches. You've got an entirely new defense. You didn't have your offensive line coach out there, so Kevin Donnelly did a great job with his 13 years of experience in the NFL and coaching at UNC Charlotte and coaching high school ball in Charlotte. He coached the offensive line today and said it was so much fun for him. And then you've got Larry Porter's the new special teams coach, and we worked on punt today as well. So Stacy Searles left Sunday night, met with the players on his players on Monday morning. So our hiring, and we appreciate all Stacy did for us and want to wish him good luck. He's a tremendous coach and better person, and he wanted to go back to Georgia, and we totally understand that. One of the advantages of 33 years of being a head coach and being the president of the American Football Coaches Association board, you know a whole lot of coaches. So I have a list of coaches at each position that are available immediately, and you figure out which ones you want to hire. And obviously at the top of my list was Gene Chizik when Coach Bateman left, and he wanted to bring Charlton Warren with him. And Charlton, I didn't have a relationship with Charlton, but he's a wonderful coach and leader and mentor and inspiration for these young people with his Air Force and Special Forces background. And he was very impressive on the field today. But same thing on offense. You start looking at who is the best offensive line coach out there for us. You look at it immediately because the other coach left the day before spring practice started. You can hire faster because there's some urgency, and it's an emergency hire. And with only 15 practices, you want to get somebody in here as fast as you possibly can. So I've already made an offer. It's the only offer that I made. And hopefully all that'll work out and we can move forward here quickly, because the faster we can get someone in here and get them on the field, the better. The players did a great job today. They had fun. We talk about the best teams have leaders within the team. That leadership is more important than the coaches leading, because the coaches can't be on the field during the game. So I thought the kids did a really good job today of working to make the practice really, really good, especially in the offensive line. All the young quarterbacks look good. I thought they had a great first day, and we have tweaked some things on offense, and I thought those things that we installed today that we haven't done a lot look good as well. The sports medicine facility has been approved, and if you come to the front of Kenan Fieldhouse, it's already started. And that's going to be a great training room to the left of the Hall of Honor when you first walk in. And it's going to triple the space of our current training room. Also, we're going to have a players' lounge, which will be redone. There'll be an outside area where the guys will have some fire pits and can play a little basketball. So it's really going to be a nice complex for phase one. The training room includes a hydrotherapy room, hot and cold plunge pools, underwater treadmill. It's got all new equipment. It's 4,800 square feet of roof and courtyard flowing into the players' lounge. Will be the outside area that's going to be fun for them. But the new training room is the most important thing, because ours currently is very undersized. When we built this building back in the late 90s, team sizes weren't as big, and sure staff sizes weren't as big, and we have a real need not only for a new training room but an updated training room, and that's going to help prevention and give faster recovery. The existing training room will be converted into a nutrition center, and then they'll also have some extension of the locker room. Then there's later on in phase two, we'll have a new weight room built. And then phase three, there will be extension of the complete locker room. So we're really stepping up the facilities. They should be as good as anybody in the country when we get through, and really, really excited for the young people that they've already started. Injury situation, we've got more people out on defense than we would like. Most all of them are very experienced, so they can sit and watch the new teachers and the new defense. But the positive thing is that we're being forced to work with a lot of young guys that, especially in the secondary, that haven't worked very much. So it's going to be a positive thing in the long run, and that's something that we're very excited about. Also, as far as depth chart's concerned, parents, kids, fans get excited or get anxious over who's first, who's second, all of that. This time, we really don't have a first and second. We're trying to find how many people, you don't call them starters, we call our first team players the blue team. How many people can go out there on defense and play? Can you get 15 that can play and have no drop off? Can you get 22? If you can have 22, then that's your gold standard. That's what you want. So right now we're looking at who can play on the field without a drop off in that group of players with blue jerseys to start out with. So we'll come back on Thursday and have another morning practice. And then we've got a little bit later pads practice for the first time on Saturday. Thursday will be shorts because the NCAA dictates that the first two are in shorts. Then you have to have one more practice in shorts before the end of your spring training. But Saturday will be the first pads practice, and that'll be a lot of fun to watch these young ones. Your 8 young ones, new enrollees, and your 2 grad transfers. Practice is just different for them. The grad transfers, obviously, Corey and Noah both handled it really well, and they look good. The young ones, I was talking to them at lunch a few minutes ago, and basically they said, Coach, it goes a lot faster, and the players are a lot faster. So it's we've told the young ones, just learn what to do right now, and that'll give you the best chance to set it up where you get a chance to play. We felt like that we hired 2 great guys with Coach Chizik and Coach Warren, and it was obvious today that they're doing a great job. And I'm excited about getting our new offensive line coach in here as soon as possible. Questions?
All right. We will take our first question this afternoon from Greg Barnes. Go ahead, Greg.
Hey, Mack. Just curious, how has Gene Chizik changed since you worked with him so many years ago?
Greg, it's a great question. He has such a great presence right now when he walks in a room. So I would say he was a head coach that won a national championship after I coached with him. So I just feel like he's got so much more confidence, and he walks into the room, he controls the room. There's such a feel of discipline and confidence about him. All the kids are sitting up and they're listening to every little word he says. And he's got great command of the staff. They were all really in tune today for a first day. I was impressed. And I think that's it. It was just in thinking about him, he went to the Greensboro High School Coaches Clinic and probably hadn't spoken for 5 years, very much for sure. And he got out there and he just killed it. I mean, he did a tremendous job. The coaches give him a standing ovation, and they're all wanting to talk to him when he's walking out. So I think confidence, there is something about winning a national championship. Very few people get to do it. And I asked Coach Darrell Royal, who was the legendary coach at Texas, what does this mean? And he said, it means that people will listen to more of what you say because you've done something that everybody likes to do and very few get to do. And I think I see that in Gene right now. He has a strong confidence about who he is. He also has got tremendous energy because, like me, he spent 5 years away from football. And when you're doing TV, you work for 4 months and you're off for 8. So, I mean, it's a pretty good gig. So I think he was having so much fun out there today, but there was such an attention to detail. And that's what we need. We've got to change that part of our culture. We're reestablishing who we started with 3 years ago, and now we got to reestablish it again because we lost some of who we were last year. And I thought he was all over that today with not taking any lazy steps. And being in a good football position and learning how to tackle. And there were some great drills this morning. So I was very pleased with what I saw.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Michael Cove, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, what have you learned over the years coaching particular teams that go through a change at quarterback from a longtime starter? The best example I can think of is Colt McCoy at Texas.
Yeah, Michael, you know, we had some of that here, and we went from Major Applewhite to Chris Sims to Vince Young to Colt McCoy. So we had transitions at Texas. The biggest thing I've learned is figure out what they do best and make sure that you emphasize that. It's and that's one of the things we're really talking about offensively. Let's find our mismatches. Let's get the ball in the hands of the best players. It seems like a very simple concept, but some do what they do best and get the best ones the ball. And that's it sounds very simple, but that's what we will do with these quarterbacks. And excuse me, you hope all three of your quarterbacks are similar. That makes it easy. And if they're not, then you've got to change it up a little bit when another one comes in. And today, Jacoby Criswell, Drake May, and Connor Harrell got most of the work. And I thought they were all three very impressive. You would not walk out there and think they hadn't played very much. So it was a very encouraging day for us walking off the field.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Andrew Jones, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, in watching Coach Chizik today deal with the kids, I was reminded of the first time around how direct he is with them. And you had mentioned recently about the defense maybe being a little bit more simplified. Is his approach of communication a perfect example of simplifying everything that they do? And in a way, less is kind of more with these kids?
Yes, you want to be simple, and you want them to play free. And we've always said in coaching that the less you do, the faster you can play, because you don't have to think. And that's Gene's whole theory. And he's he will get into things like find ball, see ball, hit ball. I mean, it's but he means it. So he's going to be very sound and very simple. And then he'll have exotic blitzes in certain situations. But he's going to play just certain defensive looks, and he is very demanding. He is very positive, and when you're that demanding, you have to be positive, in my estimation, because the kids want to respond to that, and kids just respond to him, and he will pick one up. He'll be really hard on him, but pick him up at the same time, and that's a strength that not many people have.
Different topic. I know what you just said a few minutes ago about depth charts and who's playing with who, but it did stand out today that Zach Rice was working a lot with what appeared to be the ones. What is unique about him that you can anticipate seeing a true freshman get on the field on the offensive line, which is pretty rare in college football?
Yeah, it's very rare. And I had a good visit with him at lunch a few minutes ago, and he's probably 6'5" plus, 316 pounds, and quick and really aggressive. And it's hard to tell much about offensive linemen in shorts. I mean, they don't get to play in shorts. So I was talking to him, and he said, "Boy, these guys are quick, man." He said, "They're so much quicker than what we're used to in high school." Well, yeah. And he was talking about the urgency of practice, how fast the plays go, and how fast the drills move. And he said it seemed like we weren't out there at all, because in high school you stand around a lot usually, and there was no standing around. So he felt like he had a blast, and he was doing really well. But I think the biggest thing about him is his aggressive nature. He loves to come off the ball and compete. The hardest thing for the three freshman linemen will always be pass protection, because they're protecting against much better pass rushers in college than they did in high school. And in some ways, for a Zach or a Travion Green or Justin Kenyuk, it'll be easier playing against bigger bodies, because they're playing against little bitty guys in high school that could run around them. It's hard at their size to stay low enough to block them. So, but I think that's the biggest thing. We'll we're looking at a lot of tackles. William Barnes has had a sore lower or body, but he seemed to be okay. So we're trying to find, again, as many guys as we can play. It's harder to find tackles than it is guards, and we want to get a really good look at Zach, and we want to get it early. But that's the other reason that we need to get the new coach in here as fast as we can, because you don't want to lose another day or 2 more practices and then be down to 3 gone or 2 gone of your 15. So hopefully we can get that process moving fast.
Thank you.
Thank you.
CL Brown, go ahead.
Hi, Mac. We talked a lot about continuity on staff before, and I was just wondering, having to replace that O-line coach at this juncture, right when you're beginning spring practice, the offer you made, was that because you felt like this person is the best from a continuity standpoint, like based on their background, how they will fit in exactly, or is it just a matter of best available coach, that you wanted to grab?
Yeah, CL, it's you all have good questions. You come up with the best coach that fits. And does he fit your style of offense? Does his personality fit your current 4 other offensive coaches? Does he fit your part of the country? Can he recruit in this part of the country? I like to hire people that I know something about. I like to hire people that know people that our staff knows and trusts, because I think all of that is smoother. And I learned at Texas for many years, we didn't have any changes. And then we had a run of Carl Reese left as defensive coordinator, and Greg Robinson came in and got the Syracuse job. Gene Chizik came in and got the Iowa State job as defensive coordinators. And then Will Muschamp came in and got the Florida job. So we lost 3 in a row. So I learned that sometimes change is good because it brings in new ideas and it brings in fresh energy. And when our new offensive line coach comes in, it's going to be a new start for all those kids. Every one of them has a fresh start. All of the kids on defense today know that Coach Chizik is in there making decisions on who plays. So they all better step up. So I thought there was a new energy today. And I thought part of that was because, especially on defense, the new coaches and new look.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go over to Ross Martin.
Hey, Coach Brown. I know you mentioned Corey Gaynor already, but I thought Noah Taylor really stood out. Can you speak to what those 2 transfers have brought already to the team, and maybe any observations from Gaynor or Taylor from day one that stood out to you?
Yes, Ross, the number one thing they brought is confidence and leadership ability. Corey is an aggressive, vocal leader. And he and Brian Anderson have both been probably the 2 best leaders in our offensive line room so far. And they're guys that are good in that room, especially when you have a change, because the Zach Rices have lost their coach after a month, the Travion Greens. And so they've got to pick them up. And I thought Corey did a great job of leading today. Noah's not as loud as vocal as Corey, but I thought he looked really fast. He was a quick pass rusher with the ability to drop. Coach Chizik's actually coaching our jack linebackers, which are the outside linebackers. So I think both of them will bring confidence, knowledge, a world of experience, and therefore leadership. And I was really excited about watching both of them play this morning.
And quickly, not to harp too much on the offensive line coaching change, but I thought I was curious. When you mentioned you have a list of assistant coaches for each position. Can you explain that a little more? Is that updated constantly every year? How does that go? Because you've obviously you hired a new tight end coach at one point, offensive line coach. Can you explain that list you make? Because I know athletic directors have the same thing for head coaches that they keep updated.
Yes, Ross. Again, I probably didn't explain it very well, but I update it daily. And if you're sitting there in the fall and you've got a defensive coordinator's name on the list and you're watching his team play before your game in the afternoon and somebody's scoring 70 points, I've called Pat Sudis keeps it for me because he keeps the list and updates it. And I'll text Pat and say, take that guy off. We're not hiring him, man. It can't stop anybody. And the same thing, I was able to start that list when I was in TV and just see who you thought did a good job. It's one of the reasons I hired Jay and Phil, because they were taking less and doing more with it. Gene was an obvious first call because of my experience with him. I would have hired Gene here 3 years ago, but it wasn't the right timing for him at that time. So when that job came open, he was my first thought. If he was ready and he wanted to do it, he was the top of my list, and he's been top of the list. I just keep him there. And if he wasn't, then you go to number 3. And just like we were talking about with CL, there's reasons why they're all on that list. And they're prioritized to a point that if he's not a good recruiter for this area, that might drop him down a little bit. But if you've got great recruiters on defense and you didn't need to recruit as much, then maybe he moves back up because you just need that the strategy that he brings. And I even ask the coaches sometimes, which they hate. I'll go into like a Lonnie Galloway and say, give me the 10 guys in order 1 through 10 that would replace you the best if you leave. And they just hate it. So that I can't get that done much because they don't like talking about who's going to replace them. I guess it'd be like talking to your wife about if she died, who you'd marry, and that wouldn't go well. So I think the biggest thing is that I get excited about coaches. I love to watch coaches. It keeps me intrigued by other things that people are doing. Our offense is so unique and so different that you can't just take a traditional offensive coach in some cases and plug him in. And then defensively, if you look at it, what I tried to do with Gene, he's got tremendous confidence in Charlton Morin. He coached with Tommy Thigpen at Auburn, so he's got a relationship with him. He and Charlton knew Dre when he was here, and Dre actually ghosted Charlton the whole spring, went to all of his meetings and was in watching every drill and out at spring practice with him. And then Tim Cross, he has got a relationship with Jeff Madden and Gene from Texas, but Jeff Madden, who was the strength coach for Dre and for Tommy, so they've known each other for many years. So everybody on defense is tied together, and that just makes the room more cohesive. And they can be discussions instead of arguments. And that's the thing about that list that's fun is it's very fluid, and it changes all the time. A guy may take a job. So if one of the top guys on your offensive list takes a pro job, and you may not can pay him, then you keep his name on there, but you put him down at the bottom of the list with a question mark because he may no longer be in play if your offensive coordinator left. But I do feel like that. You need to move quickly. I've told our coaches when they go interview for a job, if they go interview for a job, then I'm interviewing for a job. I'm calling somebody. It's just like dating. If you're going to date, I'm going to date. So I got it. You want to talk to them? That's fine, but I'm talking to, because I do not want our fans or our players to have to wait, or our coaching staff, and be in a position where you don't have a coach. And the other thing with people tampering and recruiting people off your teams, you need to move quickly and make sure that somebody doesn't leave your team, because when the coach leaves, everybody's going to start recruiting those players. So that makes the urgency a little bit more important too. But I've told the players that one of the great things about my experience are I know a whole lot of great coaches, and if we lose a coach, we're going to hire a great one. So don't ever worry about losing your coach. That's we just get new ideas with a brand. And I've also told them, and this is something I really try to do, I try to hire coaches that I would want coaching my son. and I'm not going to bring a guy in that's a bad guy. So the parents and the players don't have to worry about the type person that I bring in, because I want to be aggressive. I want to be disciplined, but I want to be positive. And we're not going to grab those young people and we're not going to cuss them. That's just who we are.
Okay, we have time for 2 more questions. First, we'll go over to Gregory Hall.
Hey, Mac, I was curious, the assimilation of Ty Chandler last year, if you're taking anything from that experience with Noah Taylor and Corey Gaynor, just getting them, obviously coming from Virginia, Miami, and Ty from Tennessee, if you took anything from that experience and you're doing with Noah and Corey.
Yeah, Gregory, I didn't think that Ty got comfortable with the offense fast enough. And as I look back, because he looked a whole lot better after we got into the season than he did early in the season. And Virginia Tech, we just didn't have flow. By the time he got to Virginia, he was really good. So I'm pressing our coaches to be more demanding in the spring and put them, especially our quarterbacks, but put all of these young people in more game type pressure situations than you would in a normal spring. I want us to come out of spring practice having a pretty good idea who's going to play. And to do that, you've got to have urgency every day. So we got to win the day every day. We've got to win the practice every day. We're grading the practices to see who won or lost the practice. And if you lost the practice, why? So we're treating each practice like a game. And the other thing that we've told the 2 grad transfers and the one that's coming in June, we've told all of them that Ty Chandler became the captain. So don't think that because you haven't been here for the previous 3 or 4 years that you can't be a leader on this team and you can't make a significant difference, because he sure did.
And is Cedric Gray filling that role of like what Jeremiah Gemmel had last year? He seemed to be very vocal out there today, even more so than we saw last season.
He really is. He's having fun. He's confident. He thinks it's his turn. We have made a huge emphasis on leadership, and we're challenging our coaches in each room to make sure that they teach it every day, that the kids are learning from it. And then after spring practice, the coaches will come to me on each side of the ball and special teams and tell me who they think deserve to be on the leadership committee. And then I will make that final decision. And then in the after fall camp, right before our opening game with Florida A&M, the players will vote on the leadership committee. And we're just making it much more difficult to get on that committee than ever before. And we're challenging guys to step up. And Cedric Gray has been one of the best leaders on our defense.
Our final question today will come from Todd Gibson.
Yeah, Mac, would you like to see one of the quarterbacks separate himself from the rest of the pack? And if that doesn't happen in the spring, is that not a big deal?
Todd, I would like to see that. And I don't care if it happens now. It's got to happen before the fall. If they don't separate, you play them both. We did that here with Jason Stanisak and Mike Thomas. We did it with Oscar Davenport and Chris Keldorf. We did it at Texas with Major Applewhite and Chris Sims. So we have done that before. And if you go back to Coach Longo, had experience with that the first fall here, because in the spring he had Cade Fort and Jace Reuter and Sam Howell, and he played all 3. And I remember asking him, how are you going to decide who starts in the spring game? And he did rock, paper, scissors, which I thought was rather foolish, but it was good. Flip a coin, didn't matter. He wasn't going to choose a starter for the spring game. And then I think it was about maybe the Monday before the opening game with South Carolina, might have been 10 days before. But I remember we decided that Sam was going to be the starter, and we thought he needed to start interacting with the media some early enough that it wasn't all a tremendous amount of pressure on him right before the game. So I was impressed with all 3 of those guys today. All three looked really good. They all like each other, which is good. The three that played a lot today are all very similar, so they can all run the same offense. So I think we've got a really, really good quarterback room, and that credit totally goes to Phil Longo. But I think we're in good shape moving forward.
Mack, real quickly, you said earlier in your interview that this team was missing something last year. Can you expand on that a little bit? What you mean by that?
Yeah, I think part of it was me. I go back and I sat here in the spring and I watched, and I didn't like what was going on. I was raising Cain, and I don't know. It just, for some reason, it didn't click. Now, we have those two backs running their highlights from the NFL, Michael Carter and Javonte Williams, and we all thought both of them were really good. I think they're both better than we thought they were. And they probably covered up some mistakes in year 1 and year 2 that showed up in year 3, because I watch those guys run and there's sometimes just nothing there, and they squirt out and get 20 yards. And I thought that happened with us some. So I feel like the loss of the two great receivers and the two running backs probably were more damaging to us than we thought. And those guys made such an impact on our team for the first 2 years that we didn't replace them properly. And I go back to a little bit and then I don't know, I thought we were going to be really good on defense. And maybe since we weren't as good on offense, I got fooled into thinking the defense was better than it was. And then I felt like the hype was too much. I knew it. There wasn't anything we could do about it. When I would say we're not that good, we lost 4,200 yards of offense, everybody'd say, hey, he's a coach. So nobody paid any attention to it. Then we got to Virginia Tech, and everybody said, they're not that good. Yeah, I've been watching us every day. I knew that. And I thought we came back after that. We did okay at Georgia State. We didn't play great defense. We didn't stop a pass against Virginia, but we moved the ball a lot. And then we absolutely laid an egg. We had, I think, 5 fumbles all year. 3 of them were at Georgia Tech inside the 30. So we just self-destructed. And after that, we were like a yo-yo. We were just up and down and a roller coaster. And I never knew who was going to show up. And that is not fun to coach when you don't know who's going to show up. And it seemed like that about the time somebody would play great, the next week they would stink or play average. We couldn't build off success. So I think that was the biggest part of what needs to change. We've talked about playing up to a standard. Don't sit here and talk about winning the Coastal, winning the ACC right now. We haven't earned that. So let's nobody's talking about us doing that. So let's be real here. We got to get better. So play to a standard, work to a standard, have fewer penalties, have fewer sacks, have fewer tackles for loss, force more turnovers, stop the run on first down. All of the things that we haven't consistently done well for 3 years that we know we have to do to win. Let's talk about those. Let's don't talk about winning this and winning that and winning this, because everybody works hard. The last 2 team meetings, I put up off-season workouts from other teams that are working just as hard as we are. So we sit here and say, man, we can outwork them. Probably can't. Everybody works hard. Man, our strength program's better than theirs. They're all good. They're paying these guys a lot of money. They all know what they're doing. Nutrition's good. So how do you figure out how to win? It's got to be the little bitty things that separate you from everybody that's well coached and working hard. And not to belabor the point, but I think that's what we didn't do last year. That was the difference. We didn't do the little things that separated us from the other teams that worked just as hard as we did. And the 2 years before, we outscored people. And then last year, we weren't as good on defense. Last year, we were erratic in the kicking game. We were the best at blocking punts, and we gave up 4 block punts. So I think what we've got to do is continue to grow. Our program's still far ahead of where we thought it would be in 3 years from where we started. We took a public bump, an emotional bump of confidence last year. a lot of people started doubting us, and I'm not sure that we handled that very well because we'd been on a high with everything going so well. So now we got to get back to, we've got better players than we've had. They are young. I looked up there. I think there may be 5 seniors on the whole team. It doesn't matter. It's an excuse if you talk about youth, but play to a standard every day, win the practice every day. If it's important enough to you, do the things right off the field and be ready to practice and have an edge when you go out there. And then we've got to do a better job of making sure that we determine a lot of these things in spring practice that we didn't in the fall. Who are the best 6 receivers? Let's determine now. We don't need to wait. We need to know now. And then we'll get those guys ready to play. And the same things. We've got 7 running backs. That's too many. How do we cut it down to 3? We need 3 that are going to play. We need to do that now. We don't need to be talking about who the running backs are going to be in preseason. So there's more of an urgency right now in spring than there was when we were walking around with our head up high and our chest stuck out last year being the number 8 team in the country that we didn't deserve.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, Coach, that's the last one we have for you today. We appreciate you spending a few minutes with us today.
Thank you, folks. Now, Jeremy's sitting here, but when we get our new offensive line coach, you're going to have
we'll figure it out.
Jeremy will have a time for you all to visit with him. So, and then other than that, just if you need something, let Jeremy know, or if you need some more time with me after practice, just let us know. We'll go Thursday in shorts, 8 to 10. We'll have Saturday, I think it's 11:45 for a couple hours. And we have a huge junior day on Saturday. We got a lot of kids coming in, a lot of really good players. And then we'll come back next week and go Tuesday and Thursday, and then we'll go to spring break on Friday. So we will not practice next Saturday. Okay?
All right, sir. Thank you.
Thanks,
Coach.
everybody.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Coach.
guys.
Thank you, Matt.